Hello students, welcome to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Open University, BA Geography 3rd year 5th semester. Today we are going to study or learn about nature and characteristics of disasters. I am Dr. D. Sabita, Assistant Professor, Department of Geoinformatics, Telangana University. Nature and characteristics of disaster. First of all, let us learn what is disaster. As you can see from the picture that some places have been ruined by wind, heavy wind flow or fire accidents or whirls of climatic change, cracks in the surface, big waves ruining the settlements and snowfall which is cutting off the settlement from the mainland. And some of the meteoritic placements into the settlements or heavy rains causing the floods or the sand floods or slant flow which is coming on to the settlements. All these characteristics are nothing but destruction of that particular settlement. This may cause both a disturbance to the living people and also the property of that population. So this is many a times happen to be a sudden destruction of life and property which is known as disasters, which gives very less time for the local people to understand and get settled somewhere else. So over here the disasters happen to be very enormous in the world, in today's world, and we can see n number of reasons for these disasters. First of all, let us learn about what is disaster. Disaster is an undesirable occurrence resulting from forces that are largely outside, that is, unforeseen and serious misfortunes caused due to the extreme events of natural and human origin. Whereas hazard refer to the natural or human induced events or conditions that have the potential to cause harm. So here the hazard is the precondition of the disaster where you have the potential of damage, whereas disaster is the aftermath where we can see the destruction of both life and property. So these disasters can be based on the geological, meteorological, hydrological, technological and biological. So what distinguishes hazard from a disaster? As we have earlier understood that hazard is a precondition for disaster, and if the measures are taken in time, disaster can be restricted. So hazards become disasters when the intersection of vulnerable population, infrastructure or ecosystem lead to significant impacts and losses. So disasters are of different types. Disaster may be caused by natural and they are of man-made disasters. So natural disasters are the disasters which are unforeseen and coming directly from the nature's outburst. It can be meteorological, topographical, environmental. So the man-made disasters are technological, industrial and warfare. Natural disasters which are directly coming from the four spheres what we have studied earlier, as atmosphere leads to the meteorological disasters, the lithosphere which generates the topographical disasters, and environmental are nothing but the combination of both meteorological, hydrosphere and also your lithosphere coming together to biosphere and causing the environmental disasters. Further, when we are trying to talk about the man-made disasters. Man-made disasters happen to be a very huge disasters which are caused basically due to anomalies or misconduct of the human characters. So here the characteristics like technological degradation or industrial exploitations or warfare for the better upper hand of a country in the neighborhood. So all these parameters causes to the disasters. Natural disasters which happen by the natural causes, but man-made disaster to 80 to 90% can be controlled by the human. So many types of smaller events and weather fluctuation often give birth to extreme events cumulatively, some of which eventually become disasters causing greater damage to human life and property. droughts, floods, cyclones, earthquakes, landslides, and volcanic eruptions are the great environmental disasters caused by nature. And further, when we talk about the disaster and the hazards, as earlier we have talked about, disasters are the final conduct of the event, destructive event, whereas hazard is a potential zone of occurrence. So both of them can be natural and man-made. Here once again we can see that the share of disasters, when we see different types of disasters, there are number of different disasters, and out of which floods in the human settlement happen to be covering 51%, whereas ocean storms or tsunamis which are caused to the coastal area lead to the 15% of total disasters have occurred in the world, whereas landslides, fires, volcanoes and others and earthquakes happen to have a major role in disasters. Of course, the snowfall in the higher elevations and snowfall regions also cause a disaster in that particular place in the form of cutting off the place from the mainland, or the avalanches which fall of the heavy snowbergs to the downslopes. So overall, every environmental condition has a potential to have a disaster. A disaster cause that leads to the sudden disruption of normal life, causing severe damage to life and property to extent that available social and economic protection mechanisms are inadequate to cope. So it is a sudden flow of water or cyclone, or a sudden break in the surface, or the cloud burst of rainfall which results to flooding of the urban area, which are very much unforeseen and lead to the heavy destruction in the local place. So further nature of disaster. Disaster as defined by the United Nations is a serious disruption of functioning of community or society which involve widespread human, material, economic and environmental impacts that exceed the ability of the affected community or society to cope using its own resources. Disaster management is how we deal with the human, material, economic or environmental impacts of said disaster. It is the process of how we prepare to respond to and learn from the effects of major failures. Though often caused by nature, disaster can have human origin also. According to the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Society, a disaster occurs when a hazard impacts on vulnerable people. The combination of hazards, vulnerability and inability to reduce the potential negative consequences of risk results to a hazard. Natural disasters. Natural disasters are either planetary or extraplanetary according to their origin. Planetary natural disasters are either terrestrial disasters or atmospheric disasters. Volcanic eruptions, earthquakes and landslides etc. are considered to be terrestrial environmental disasters, whereas tropical cyclones of various types, floods and droughts are atmospheric nature of disasters. The extraplanetary natural disasters include collision between the Earth and bodies of space like asteroids, comets or the meteoroids. Further, disasters are characterized into two types. They are natural disasters and human induced. So in both of them, like we have the classification of disasters based on the natural destruction of the single rock mass, which can be because of weathering or it can be because of the construction of roads in the hill area. So based on the destruction of the surface, the landform will have the destruction or the elements are flowed down to the slope and you have the disaster in the slopy area. So over here we can see that solifluction of complete earth is flowed down. Earth flow, where a patch of land is degraded and flowing down. Over here the mud is flowed between two valleys, or a slump or a land which is just falling down to the surface, or a soil creep, a whole stretch of kilometers of soil is flowing down with the rock which is falling down with the water which is flowing from the upper elevations. Wherever you have the lower depression settlements, here we have to wherever you see the lower elevation settlements, there you can see the disturbance due to the soil fluxion or sliding of the land or rock fall or the debris flowing to the down slopes. So, over here we can see that rock falls which are coming out of the main hill onto the roads, and this destruction is basically because of cutting off the slope. The slope which was having a regular slope on this hill, because of construction of this road, the base of the slope is been cut down. So, here the rock becomes very unstable, and over a period of time this rock which has no support beneath it tends to fall down as water tend to move away the soil beneath it. With the flow of water, soil moves below the rock and the rock without a base has to fall down. So, this is how many of the landslides in the northern India or the hilly regions we have major accidents or landslides which have a major disasters in the slopey regions. So, these are some of the rivers which are flowing in the rainy season because of heavy influx of water which was flowing earlier in a narrow stream, had because of increase in the volume of water started flowing to the slopes with a heavy water velocity, and this volume of water is tending to move into the settlements and washing away the settlements. Recently we have seen the Kerala tragedy and also Kashmir tragedy because of the heavy influx of water into the slopes, and there is no other way because all the plain areas have been captured by the settlements. Suddenly, because of heavy influx of water, water enters into the slopes and it also tries to enter into the plains where the settlements have happened. At the same time, because of flow of this water, the nearby hills tend to move down, and moving of these hills down also narrows the path of the water, and this narrowing path will increase the water volume in that particular stream and also distract the higher elevation settlements we are there in the hills. So, it is both destruction of the plains and also higher elevations may also be distracted because of increase in volume of water. So, this is the area where nearly 60 people have been drowned into the river near Kashmir, where the people went for a pilgrimage. So, this is the recent destruction because of heavy rainfall and sudden destruction or subduction of the land due to heavy water flow. So, types of man-made disasters. We have number of man-made disasters. These disasters are serious misfortunes having human hand behind them. Most of the environmental disasters that frequently occur these days kill millions of people and create, along with heavy damage to properties, have human hands behind them. Pandemics and epidemics, nuclear hazards, industrial accidents, chemical accidents, traffic accidents, biological and chemical disasters. So, these are some of the incidences or hazards which are seriously done by the human, maybe because of increasing technology or the destruction due to exploitation of resources. So, man-made disasters can be divided into unintended disasters and intended disasters. Unintended disasters are basically technological hazards, as we have talked earlier. They can be industrial accidents when you have some of the reactors which explode because of low maintenance or not properly gauging the capacity of the reactor. Exploitation of the resources may result into industrial accidents. Transportation accidents, we have number of transportation accidents because of low monitoring or low capturing of the traffic of that particular place. General accidents, they can be human settlement accidents or any n number of medical ill health problems which are caused by because of the ill planning of the resources. So next come to the intended disasters. They are the intended disasters which are directly caused or directly planned by the human to destruct some of the places. Many number of wars or armed conflicts and terrorism are the intended disasters. They may occur in the today's world with the planning of human mind. So these are very much planned and which can be restricted also. So this may lead to the internally or internationally armed conflicts and terrorism, which are physical attack or cyber attacks. Sometimes they are biological attacks also. So man-made disasters, they can be the like number of disasters like plane crashes, you have collapse of buildings, you have fire outbreaks in the settlements, and you have boat mishaps in the heavily flowing rivers, road accidents, you have environmental pollution, waste disposal, oil spills. These happen to be very disastrous accidents, like environment is going to be polluted and the disaster is going to carry for many number of years, and it may spread to other places also because of the pollution of water and also air. The next comes the terrorist attack example, the bombing of the World Trade Center in New York in 2001. However, such classifications are more academic than real, as major disasters could simply be events that received relatively more media coverage. High-powered committees was constituted in August 1999 under the chairmanship of J.C. Pant. According to J.C. Pant, the disaster being divided into water and climatic, that can be flood, cyclone, tornadoes and hurricanes, hailstorms, cloudbursts, heat wave and cold waves, snow avalanches, droughts, sea erosion, thunder, lightning. Geological landslides and mud flows, earthquakes, large fires, dam failures and dam bursts and mine fires. Biological pandemics like pest attacks, cattle pandemics, and you have food poisoning. Chemical, industrial and nuclear disasters. Disasters that are caused by the excessive use and misuse of chemicals in the industries are called chemical disasters. The irresponsible handling of powerful chemicals can cause widespread devastations. Accidental fires, urban fires, mine flooding, oil spilling, festival related disasters, electrical disasters and fire, air, road and rail accidents, boat collapsing and village fires. We know that apart from natural causes, disaster can occur due to human-made causes. Activities like deforestation, agricultural practices, mining, etc. can cause landslides. In addition, wildfires can again damage the natural habitat of plant and animals. The causes of natural disasters are global warming. Global warming is a serious contributor to natural disaster because it affects our globe in so many areas. As hurricanes draw their energy from seawater, global warming causes ocean temperatures to rise, resulting in more and large hurricanes and tropical storms. Natural activities in the Earth's crust. Natural disasters are often triggered by natural events in the Earth's crust. Tensions can build up inside the Earth's crust due to natural processes which can be realized through earthquakes, as Earth has a number of plates which are subducting under one and which are emerging onto another. This instability in the land may lead to the earthquakes or tsunamis, and which may lead to a major level destruction of coastal regions. Tectonic movements, because of globe is made up of several plates riding on over Earth's plate underlying mantle rather than a single surface. A relocation or collision of these plates might have disastrous consequences. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions and tsunamis are all possible occurrences. Then again, the most important factor of disasters is the deforestation. The most important factor of disasters is deforestation in modern times. Because of destruction of forest, and there is a continuous increase in the temperatures. This increasing temperatures increasing the global warming and leading to the other recurring problems. Forests normally mitigate floods and droughts by balancing the and holding back natural groundwater resources. So deforestation may lead to increase in natural catastrophes. Soil erosion. Soil erosion can result in significant soil degradation, which can result in loss of fertility and as a result of hunger for local inhabitants. Soil erosion also can result in landslides, which can be devastating to both nature and humanity. Seismic activities, earthquakes can be caused by the seismic activities inside our planet. As recently we have seen Russian plate which was subducting under the Pacific plate. It has seen a severe earthquake in the Kamchatka island of Russia, which has seen the huge magnitude of earthquake in Russia of 8.2 magnitude. And this has also resulted into heavy tsunami in the neighboring regions of 16 to 20 feet of wave, really capturing the coastal area of the region. Levels of disaster. The severity or the degree of damage can be further divided into three categories. Small scale disasters. Small scale disasters are those that extend from 50 kilometers to 100 kilometers. So this can be disaster does not cause much damage. Medium scale disasters extend from 100 to 500 kilometers. These causes more damage than a small scale disaster. Moreover, they can be cause greater damage if they occur in colonial states. Next comes the large scale disasters. These disasters cover an area of more than 1000 kilometers. These cause the most severe damage to the environment. Furthermore, these disasters can even take a country if the degree is high. For instance, wiping off the dinosaurs in the Cretaceous period. Natural hazards and extreme climatic events are becoming more frequent as a result of climatic change. The problem is further aggravated due to the migration of the rural population towards the urban areas. Such migration is estimated to be 70% of the population of the world population is going to be seen in the urban areas, that is in 2050. Urbanization and climate change have a major impact on watershed hydrological by inducing uncertainty in rainfall and runoff patterns. Rapid unplanned urbanization, which is anthropogenic factors, and the increasing climatic variation pose a serious threat in the form of urban flood across the globe. India is no exception to the growing threat of extreme climate events and urbanization problems whose impacts have started becoming visible on the ground in the form of urban flooding events in the last few decades. Despite various initiatives, urban flooding remains a big challenge due to the rapid urbanization together with the hydrological extremes and climate change towards implementing flood resilience measuring in many of the cities of India. The extreme rainfall events cannot be regulated, but the advancement in the technology allows us to minimize the risk and damage involved by mapping the extent and severity of such likely events. Over here we can just see some of the major disaster in 2000, that is the most costly man-made disasters. You can see the hurricane where you had the major disaster. This is a natural disaster, whereas earthquakes and tsunamis of Japan 2011, and you have the hurricane in California, Caribbean Sea, and the Canada, which is 36. And in 1992 we have the heavy destruction of hurricanes in Andrews of USA, whereas 9/11 terrorist attack on New York USA has really damaged the human population or the property to 25%. So in this way, the number of events we have, so in the history we can see number of events, disasters occurred which are causing heavy loss to the human property and life. So the most costliest one was 9/11, the most costly man-made disaster. If we look at the different climatic conditions or climatic disasters, it is all the earthquakes or the floods which are tsunamis are causing the heavy loss. But 9/11 terrorist attack of USA 2001 was actually stood as a 25 as a major destructive disaster made by human. In the summary, we can say that disaster is an undesirable occurrence resulting from forces that are largely outside, that is, unforeseen and serious misfortunes caused due to extreme events of natural and human origin. Geological disasters are nothing but earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, landslides, and tsunamis. Meteorological hazards include hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, and droughts. Hydrological hazards involve water-related events such as river runoff and coastal flooding. Technological hazards encompasses industrial accidents, chemical spills, and nuclear accidents. Biological hazards refer to infectious diseases and pandemics. Disaster management is an attempt to inquire into the process of hazard turning into disaster, to identify the cause and rectify the same through public policy. This leads us to issues of sustainable development, since the study and research in an area of disaster management is increasingly revealing human causative behind disaster phenomena. Hence, disaster management is a policy issue. The reasoning is simple. If disasters are inherent in the social, physical circumstances environments, their manifestation could be controlled through better management of the environment by reducing the potency of socio-economic and physical variables that contribute to the disaster losses over time. So, recent tendencies or the events of cloudburst which we can see in the urban area or in the hilly area, where a cloudburst is having a sudden flow of water as in the form of rains and falling at one particular place, and this sudden fall is nearly 5 to 20 centimeters in some places, which is causing heavy water into the place. If the place is happen to be a hilly area, the heavy rains or the water flow towards the slope, and whatever coming in between, it tries to wash away. It can be settlement, it can be boulders, or it can be agricultural area. And if it happens to be an urban area, the sudden fall of accumulation of water may lead to the flooding of urban areas. So, this may interrupt the transportation, the technological connections, or the flow of water into a low-lying areas. In today's world, the most of the wetlands are very much captured by the settlements. Like in summers, the wetland happen to be dry, and in summer or after a long period of dry spells of 1 or 2 years, the area becomes a dry area and the accumulation or settlements start begin. And as you have a sudden flow of rain, there comes the water accumulated into that slopey area, which until yesteryears it was a dry land. The people who are settling in these low-lying areas, which were earlier wetlands and they were the low-lying areas of the major settlement, happened to be inundated by the water. So, what happens over here? Because of unauthorized collection of people and also sudden accumulation of water leads to flooding in that particular area. Many number of cities in India facing the same problem. In 2020 and 21, we have seen heavy floods in Hyderabad, which was because of accumulation of settlements in the low-lying areas. The areas which were till years, like before 10 years, there were ponds or lakes or low-lying regions or small agricultural flatlands have been transformed into concrete jungle. The concrete jungle, which has no proper planning of outflow of water, it has started accumulating water within 2 or 3 days, and this outflow was decreased and increase in the accumulation of water in the particular low-lying area has resulted into flash floods in the area. So, this is both the natural hazard which has resulted into cloudburst, but also human planning which has resulted into accumulation of population and resulting into human or anthropogenic flooding in that particular area. So, these are some of the reasons why you have a sudden disasters, and which can be monitored over a period of time and can be planned accordingly, so that such destructions of both life and property can be monitored. Thank you.